What up, YouTube? Lord of Houston, better known as LTH, coming at you with a Friday video. 713, the Bio City win, the damn building. So I'm gonna do the my highs and lows about the Chauncey Gardner move, along with the potential Jalen Petrie, extension. But I'm gonna say that for another separate video about that. But because the NFL draft is fast approaching, which is 20 days from now, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the upcoming NFL draft, which is part of a NFL draft preview I'm going to knock out. So the Houston Texans currently sit at number 25 in the 2025 NFL draft. And, considering all the free agency moves they made, picking up some offensive linemen, such as, Cam Robinson. And yeah, I'll admit they missed out on Mekhi Becton, in which I wanted, who went to the Chargers on a 2-year deal after winning the Lombardi with the Eagles. But at the same time, missing out on key linemen sucks, considering how bad the offensive line was last year, allowing South to get sacked up like Stroud, to get sacked up like crazy. But, I could see the Texans, drafting majority offense, knowing that they need to address the interior O-line, which is my big concern coming into the NFL draft. Because they got to find a way to, draft at least 2 interior linemen just to shore up that offensive line to protect Stroud come 25. And of course, they do need a wide receiver, which I wouldn't be surprised if they decided to draft the wide receiver at 25, which is either Isaiah Bond, Matt Golden from Texas, both receivers from Texas, and that wide receiver from Ohio State, in which I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to go wide receiver. And yeah, the offensive needs for Houston is interior O-line, wide receiver, and tight end. Oh, and running back. Gotta add some weapons through the draft for sure. So, but in my honest opinion, I could see the Texans, and I'm not saying I'm right on this, and it's not guaranteed, but I could see the Texans going offensive tackle at 25, and such as, Kelvin Banks, and which I wouldn't mind drafting that number 25 from Texas, and yeah, he's left tackle, since Cam Robinson is only going to be there for 1 year, so he can learn from, left tackle Cam Robinson, just to get him prepared, to take over the left tackle spot. And sure, there's some other old linemen that the Texans can take, but like I just mentioned, they could draft up to at least 2 offensive linemen. Hell, 2 interior to be exact. And, draft a running back in the second round. They'll know that running back from Ohio State, who is a baller. I wouldn't mind drafting him, along with, drafting a wide receiver in the mid or late round in a tight end. And on the defensive side, they could use another defensive tackle along with another safety. And yes, I get it. Jimmy Ward and Jalen Petrie are coming back. In case stranger things, somehow happens, because in the NFL offseason, stranger things has happened. But even with Jalen Petrie and Jimmy Ward coming back, they could sure draft a safety as well. Let's draft another safety, for depth-wise, D-tackle, hell, even another linebacker for my honorable mention, for sure. Because as far as D'Amico Ryans goes, that dude will pick up some linebackers for sure. But like I said, the Texans, offensive line is their big priority. Considering how many times Stroud was sacked, which was 54 times, which was the second most behind Caleb Williams. You know, he got a new offensive line coach, got a new OC. Hopefully that works out. But it all boils down to this upcoming NFL draft in 2025. So, I'm confident in Caserio hitting on the key draft picks, but at the same time, sometimes one missed talent, could really hunt this team. Not just this team, but any team for sure. So, and I wouldn't be surprised if Caserio decides to trade down or up or to stay at 25. Because one thing I know, can't be complacent though. Not just in free agency, but in the NFL draft for sure. So Caserio just got to nail his draft picks, man. Especially, getting all the right pieces at interior online, along with the, receiver and running back, or even tight end. On both sides of the ball at that, offense and defense. Even though the defense is already top notch, just got to get that offense top notch as well. Because I want to see the Texans scoring crucial points in 2025. Because I get it, they had games that they didn't score in the second half, which came back to bite them in the ass. Look at that Detroit game, in the Battle Red game, against the Detroit Lions. Up 23-7, failed to score points in the second half, led to them losing. On a game-winning field goal by Bates, which was the final score of 26-23 after being up 23-7 at the half. Because as the saying goes, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. I just want to throw that out there. But yeah, man, they want to score points in 2025 consistently. Got to make sure that online gets situated. Because no matter how talented that Texans offense tends to be, if you can't protect the quarterback, you're going to have a hard time scoring. So that's what I learned every second as a Texans fan, truth be told. I believe in Stroud, hands down. And yes, like I said, I mentioned this before, he was pretty iffy at year 2, which means he wasn't as good as his rookie year. Turning the ball over more, but again, man, but hopefully Stroud, I'm truly confident that Stroud uses year 2 as fuel and motivation, to have a much better year 3 come 2025. Because, of course, got to play the big teams again, such as the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens, both on the road. Except they got to go. Houston has to go to Baltimore, where they have yet to win, by the way, while along with Houston going back to Kansas City, to try to prove that they can beat both Baltimore and Kansas City. Hopefully I would like to play those two teams earlier in the campaign. But, the schedule releases next month, which I'm ready for, because I'm looking forward to see who they play in week 1. Hell, I wouldn't mind playing the Tennessee Titans week 1, come to start off 2025 in H-Town. I'm just saying. But, as they say, it's not guaranteed, so have to wait till after the NFL draft. But yeah, Caserio got to do his thing, not miss out on any talent. Because I'll admit, for example, in 2022 draft, yeah, they missed out on Jordan Davis because of a trade with the Eagles. And yeah, they missed out on Kyle Hamilton, in which Baltimore beat the Texans to it, which led to them settling it for Kenyon Green, who's now with the Philadelphia Eagles, because of how garbage he was, always getting his ass beat left and right. But yeah, throwing the NFL draft 2022, because, man, had Caserio drafted Kyle Hamilton in that 2022 draft, man, Petrie and Hamilton would have been hella nice. Along with drafting Derek Stingley at number 3, man, that would have been badass. That would have been a trio: Stingley, Hamilton, and Petrie. But at the end of the day, Kyle Hamilton is a Baltimore Raven at the end of the day. So it is. I mean, missed opportunities happen. It's about learning from the mistakes. Because like I say, even good GMs and good front offices tend to make mistakes. So humble enough to say no front office is perfect. So like I mentioned, Caserio got to nail these draft picks and be aggressive. Just like he was when he traded for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, in which I'll talk about in another video, about my upside and downside of the trade. And of course, I got to do a video about why the Texans should extend Jalen Petrie and why they shouldn't extend Petrie. But yeah, man, I just thought I'd throw my 2 cents in on this upcoming NFL draft regarding the Houston Texans and their needs. Because, yeah, it's boiled down to how bad the Houston Texans want to protect C.J. Stroud. Y'all already got a good running back in Joe Mixon. Got a badass wide receiver in Nico Collins. Yeah, I get it. Tank Dell is not playing at 25. Wishing him a speedy recovery to this day. Because it was still fucked up how he went down against KC. Which was worse than how he went down versus Denver, week 13 of 2023. So won't be seeing Tank Dell at 25. So Houston has to add another receiver in the draft, like I mentioned. And along with getting that O-line situated. Because I'll say this. Any offense can be talented. But if the O-line isn't beefed up all the way, the quarterback's going to get sacked like crazy on a constant basis. Look at Joe Burrow. As good as he is, look at Joe Burrow in that 2021 playoff game versus the Titans, in which they won. Tennessee found a way to sack Burrow 9 times. Which definitely was a sign that the Bengals needed to shore up that O-line. Because, if not for the mistakes of the Titans made in that 2021 divisional game, Cincinnati would have been done. They would have lost that game against Tennessee, which will leave Tennessee playing in the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs. Even though Titans versus Bills damn near happened, had they both found a way to handle their business in crunch time. I just thought I'd throw that out there as a Houston fan. But yeah, man, I'm confident that Caserio is going to handle his business in the NFL draft. Just as long as he stays aggressive, just like he was in free agency. Getting rid of the cancer in that offensive line. I like Laremy Tunsil, but it was causing too many penalties for the Texans. So, yeah, was able to add additional draft capital in that Tunsil trade. Would have liked the first rounder, but it is what it is. And I'm even happier that Kenyon Green is a gunner. But I still wish him well in Philly. And I'm still glad that they released Shaq Mason. No hate towards Shaq Mason, but hey, got to get some younger, stronger, and younger bodies in that O-line to protect Stroud, because that's all I'm thinking about right there is the Texans add more offensive linemen, strong and younger and faster O-linemen at that. So, yeah, so that's about all I got. So my next video, LTH, checking on up out of here. Hope everyone is enjoying their Friday. And until my next video, Lord of Houston checking on up out of here. Go Houston. I'm out.